The first thing I did after being reborn as the Snow Wolf King was to collect baby formula and diapers everywhere, all because I adopted a pair of human baby girls. But what I never expected was, these two baby girls are actually reincarnated empresses. In their past lives, they fought for 3 days and 3 nights, and ended up perishing together. Who would have thought they'd be reborn at the same time as twin sisters, and abandoned in the forest, just when they thought they'd be torn apart and eaten by wild beasts? A Snow Wolf King appeared before them. As for me, 3 months ago, I transmigrated to this world where spiritual energy is reviving, and turned into a snow wolf, and awakened the ability plunder system. Through non-stop hunting, I became the only wolf king in this forest. Just today, when I went out hunting, 2 babies' cries caught my attention. I followed the direction of the sound and found 2 human baby girls. The one on the left with pale golden curly hair is Su Qing. Right now, she's got her hands on her hips, puffing out her cheeks, glaring at Luo Anfei with pale purple hair on the right. Luo Anfei glared right back, not to be outdone, babbling incoherently. I, the mighty demon lord who can command the winds and rains. I'm being bullied by you like this today. How can I put up with this? Right at this moment, the 2 of them spotted a pair of icy blue beast eyes at the same time, forgetting their past grudges immediately. They hugged each other tight in an instant, and started crying at the same time. The 2 empresses were totally panicking right now. Are we gonna die right after being reborn? But after a moment, the Wolf King didn't attack them at all, so they opened their eyes, looking completely confused. What does this wolf want? I looked at the 2 crying baby girls and frowned. Even though I'm reborn as a wolf, my soul is still human. After thinking for a moment, I sighed. You poor little things. You're coming with me from now on. So I bared my fangs and bit onto the swaddle. The 2 little ones looked at the sharp fangs so close to them. Their hearts skipped a beat at the same time. Su Jingshu's heart was pounding like crazy. She screamed frantically in her head. I'm so dead this time. Demon Lord Luo Anfei was also so nervous that she started swallowing hard. When the salty saliva from my teeth dripped into the swaddle, Luo Anfei's face turned ashen immediately. I just got reborn. Am I gonna end up as this wolf's food? But the swaddle suddenly stopped shaking. The 2 little ones looked up at the same time. They didn't think much of looking up at first, but when they did, they met my deep, icy blue eyes right away. Su Jingshui was so scared that she held her breath immediately. Luo Anfei was even trembling slightly. I froze for a second. A little panic rose in my heart. If these 2 little ones catch a cold, I'll be the one hurting them, right? I let out a long howl right away. After hearing their king's call in the forest, 5 or 6 snow wolves came up to me and surrounded me as we moved forward slowly. With them blocking the cold wind, the swaddle got a lot warmer right away. But Su Jingshui and Luo Anfei were still in shock. After a while, the 2 started communicating with each other telepathically. Come up with something fast. I don't want to end up in a wolf's stomach. Shut up. If this wolf goes crazy later, we'll be totally dead for real. Just like that. I carried the 2 little ones across more than half of the forest, and finally made it back to the Snow Wolf Pack's territory. When the king's aura spread across the Snow Wolf Pack's camp, all dozen or so snow wolves in the territory turned to look over. Long, drawn-out howls echoed through the heart of the forest. The snow wolves were using the wolf clan's etiquette to welcome their king's return. The 2 little ones, woken up by the howls, opened their drowsy eyes at the same time. Maybe it was because the temperature in the swaddle was just right. Su Jingshui couldn't help stretching after she woke up, then froze the second she opened her eyes fully. The first thing she saw was my huge, terrifying wolf head, Luo Anfei. Also saw the many snow wolf demon beasts bowing to me. Royal demon beast. Luo Anfei's heart tightened involuntarily, and she was shocked instantly. Are you kidding me? Spiritual energy hasn't even fully revived yet, and there's already an elite-level royal demon beast here. Su Jingshui suddenly realized, oh no, we're definitely prey. Hearing that, Luo Anfei's face turned deathly pale immediately. Help! I don't want to be eaten. A few minutes later, I carried Su Jingshui and Luo Anfei and arrived at the cave I live in, a scent mixed with pine resin and animal hide. Hit them in the face. Su Jingshui and Luo Anfei were both stunned by the scene in front of them. Log walls, animal hides covering the floor. You call this a wolf den? Something's wrong, super wrong. Like extremely wrong. All those demon beast furs on the ground were obviously hunted by the Snow Wolf King in front of them. His power had already faintly exceeded their expectations, but this place doesn't look like a spot to lock up prey. It looks more like the Wolf King's own den. What does this mean? Su Gingshui glanced aside slightly and fell deep in thought. Thinking back on all the details from earlier, Su Gingshui keenly sensed something was off. The Snow Wolf King in front of them didn't seem to have any ill intentions toward them. Before she could think more, Luo Anfei next to her had already noticed the same thing. Hey, do you think it's possible that this Wolf King doesn't plan to eat us? Hearing that, Su Gingshui nodded silently. The two of them right now aren't even enough for this Wolf King to fit between his teeth. If he really wanted to eat them, he would have swallowed them whole a long time ago. But even as well-informed as Su Gingshui was, she never would have thought that I just wanted to adopt them. Right at this moment, I let out a low howl outside the cave. Soon, two plump, female snow wolves that smelled faintly of milk walked into the wolf den. Compared to the male wolves, the female snow wolves had fluffier fur and looked a lot less threatening. Luo Anfei's mind went blank at this moment. Is he feeding us? Su Gingshui was also stunned. This Snow Wolf King in front of her went through all the trouble to bring them back and actually planned to adopt them. Aside from the shock, a strange flush crept onto Su Gingshui's face. You actually want me to drink wolf milk? Su Gingshui turned her head away with great pride. In her mind, she was choosing death over submission, but from my perspective, they just looked like two little babies zoning out. How cute. But why aren't these two little ones drinking milk? While I was thinking, I suddenly figured it out. Guess I've been the Wolf King. For too long, human babies aren't like wolf cubs. If you don't feed them actively, how would these little ones know to eat? I gave an order. The two female wolves immediately took positions on the left and right, and lay down in front of Su Gingshui and Luo Anfei. An absurd feeling out of nowhere flooded Su Gingshui's heart immediately. There's no mistake. This Wolf King actually really wants to adopt her. I, Su Gingshui, the human empress, am being adopted by a Wolf King today. The pride of being an empress made it impossible for her to accept this reality no matter what. I, Su Gingshui, reincarnated empress, would rather die out there than drink wolf milk. She wasn't the only one. Luo Anfei next to her was also equally shocked. Compared to Su Gingshui, she was the human demon lord famous for her unruly attitude. In her past life, elite-level wolf kings like this, she could kill tens of thousands of them with a single breath. Make her take the wolf as her father. No way, absolutely no way. And the two little ones looked like they would rather die than give in. Of course, I totally took that as them acting cute. I wasn't in a hurry at all. Instead, I retracted my sharp claws. I only used my wolf paw and gently nudged the two little ones towards the female wolves. This scene fell right before Su Gingshui's eyes. The two of them saw this as almost a humiliation, facing the wolf milk that was almost pushed right to their mouths. Su Gingshui and Luo Anfei finally realized what was going on. This emperor knows this demon wolf is humiliating me. How despicable. When have I ever suffered such grievance? But my ferocious wolf paw was fixed on them, staring right at them at this moment. This was obviously a blatant threat. It was as if they refused to drink the milk any longer, they would be swallowed whole the next second. Finally, Su Gingshui and Luo Anfei gave in, especially when they caught whiff of the sweet fishy scent so close by. Drinking milk isn't embarrassing at all. Su Gingshui comforted herself like this. Luo Anfei, on the other hand, closed her eyes. She yielded on the surface, but was extremely unwilling in her heart. 30 years on the east side of the river. 30 years on the west. Don't look down on a poor baby. At this moment, the two of them steeled their hearts, crawled over to the two female wolves, bowed politely first. The moment the wolf milk slid down their throats, the two little ones who had been hungry for so long, their eyes lit up in unison. This tastes so good. Looking at the two little ones who obediently drank the wolf milk, I let out a long sigh of relief too. Though human babies at this age are usually already weaned, I had nowhere to get baby formula. These two little ones can't eat meat. To keep them alive, I can only rely on the milk of the female wolves in the pack. Luckily, by the looks of it, these two little ones seem to like drinking the milk quite a bit. At the same time, the two empresses who were happily drinking their fill both widened their eyes at the same time. Did you feel that? Su Gingshui spoke first. Luo Anfei looked over at her at the same time. In this milk, there seems to be a faint trace of spiritual energy. As far as they remembered, it would be at least another month before the actual spiritual energy revival began. But the female wolves of this snow wolf pack already have spiritual energy in their milk, though the amount is very small, as two human peak-tier powerhouses. Su Gingsui and Luo Anfei both knew very well. This meant this group of snow wolves in front of them had already gotten a head start. Before the spiritual energy even revived, Su Gingsui couldn't help murmuring to herself, "No wonder that Snow Wolf King is already an elite-tier demon beast now. He must have gotten some kind of lucky chance." The two women now fully understood. This snow wolf pack is no ordinary one. Right now, I looked at the two full and satisfied little ones, then glanced at the two extremely resentful female wolves. My expression turned weird for a moment. How long has it been since these two little ones drank milk? They actually drained all the milk from these two female snow wolves. Luckily, even though my pack isn't very big right now, we still have 9 female wolves. Even though these two have pretty big appetites, we can barely keep up with their demand. In the swaddle, a strange look flashed across Su Qingshui's eyes. Though humans and demons are fundamentally different, this Wolf King is actually quite intelligent. I will definitely help him attain the Tao in the future. To repay him for this milk-giving kindness, Luo Anfei spoke very contentedly. Once I recover my cultivation, I will definitely, before she could finish speaking. Luo Anfei actually let out a milk hiccup. Her little face flushed bright red instantly. For the sake of this wolf milk, once I recover my powers, I'll reluctantly take him as my mount. A mount. Su Gingshui couldn't help rolling her eyes at Luo Anfei in her heart. She had already accepted my identity as the Wolf King Dad. Luo Anfei naturally caught Su Qingshui's gaze, but Luo Anfei's pride made her speak haughtily. "I am the Demon Lord after all. Don't expect me to acknowledge a wolf as my father." As soon as she finished speaking, Luo Anfei couldn't hold back another milk hiccup. Even she couldn't keep a straight face. Her little face turned even redder in an instant. Luo Anfei avoided Su Qingshui's gaze, which was half disdain, half teasing. She couldn't help muttering to herself, "Fine. I'll reluctantly accept that this Wolf King is in charge. I'll admit this big guy is my dad, okay?" The baby talk the two of them used was completely encrypted. When it reached my ears, it sounded like complete gibberish. I couldn't understand a word of it, but I noticed Luo Anfei, whose little face was all red. Did this little one choke while drinking? At this thought, I rarely showed a hint of panic. I acted immediately. First, I retracted all my sharp claws. Then I lifted her up in one of my paws. With my other paw, I gently patted Luo Anfei on the back, trying to help her feel better. At this moment, Luo Anfei's gaze accidentally met mine. Her pupils dilated instantly. What kind of eyes were those? As deep as the stars, as blue as a precious gem. They were clearly the eyes of a beast. Yet Luo Anfei somehow felt genuine concern from them. Is this Wolf King patting my back to help me? Does that mean he cares about me? Luo Anfei's heart skipped a beat. In her past life as a peak-tier powerhouse, she had never experienced this kind of care before. She was clearly facing a snow wolf demon beast known for being cunning and cruel. Yet from him, she felt a warmth she had never known before. Su Gingshui was equally stunned. She actually saw in the eyes of a demon beast worry at the same time, anxiety, confusion, and relief. This kind of care they were experiencing right now was a completely new experience for them. Luo Anfei stared blankly at my ice blue eyes. Her taut nerves relaxed, and she fell into a deep sleep. She even started talking in her sleep. "I've decided, from now on, you are my dad." Inside the Wolf King's den, watching the two little ones finally fall asleep, I let out a long sigh of relief again. I finally solved the feeding problem for the two little ones, but other problems kept coming one after another. I frowned deeply. I was already worrying about where the two little girls would live. After all, the weather was getting colder and colder. If I left them as they were, they wouldn't survive a single night. But this is a desolate mountain area. There are no other resources besides trees. A light bulb went off in my head. I suddenly had an idea, so I exited the cave very gently, appearing in front of all the snow wolf demon beasts. In a very soft howl, there was an unnegotiable order from me. From now on, all demon beasts in the pack must treat the two baby girls as members of the pack. Then I summoned over a dozen snow wolves to gather in front of me. My target is the towering giant tree in the center of the basin. This tree has been growing in this world for hundreds of years already, and with the arrival of the spiritual energy revival, its diameter is now over 10 meters. What I need to do is to carve out a tree hollow in its trunk, to use the thick trunk of the giant tree to block out the cold, and prepare a warm home for the two little ones. With one order, several wolf beasts immediately stepped out from the pack. They started slashing wildly at the tree trunk with their claws. They carved out an opening in no time. But that was far from enough. Those who got tired would step back, and a new batch of wolf beasts would take their place. For a moment, howls rose one after another among the wolf pack. Inside the Snow Wolf King's cave, Su Gingsui and Lu Anfei opened their eyes at the same time. "Help! Wolves are here!" After panicking for quite a while, the two then exchanged an awkward smile at the same time. They had now been adopted by the Snow Wolf King. But where is Wolf Dad? Just then, Su Gingsui and Lu Anfei heard strange movements outside. They hurriedly lay still in their swaddling clothes and looked toward the cave entrance. What is going on here? The former Empress Su Qingshui was stunned. She couldn't figure it out at all. Why were those snow wolves going crazy at a tree? It didn't look like they were going crazy. They were attacking it. Lu Anfei also narrowed her eyes. Something is very wrong. Way more wrong than usual. What is Wolf Dad up to? All of a sudden, a guess crossed Lu Anfei's mind, visible in her widening pupils. Wolf Dad. Is he trying to get the pack to cut down that tree? Su Gingsui shook her head. The two little ones stared at each other blankly. They couldn't wrap their heads around it no matter how hard they thought. But soon I joined in as well. Lu Anfei finally realized what was happening. What Wolf Dad was doing. He's hollowing out the tree trunk. I've never heard of snow wolves having this kind of habit. Su Gingsui was also completely dumbfounded, under the two shocked gazes. I called the other wolves to stop, and dove straight into the tree hollow. Compared to ordinary snow wolves, my strength is obviously much greater. Paired with my sharp claws that can cut through iron like butter, Su Gingsui and Lu Anfei were absolutely flabbergasted. Wolf Dad is building a treehouse. The two said in unison, "Weird things happen every year, but there are extra many this year. It was already wild enough that the Snow Wolf King adopted them. Now he's even doing carpentry." An indescribable sense of absurdity filled both Su Qingshui and Lu Anfei's hearts. "What do you think?" Lu Anfei asked softly. Her tone carried a hint of shock and confusion. "What do I think? What else can I do but lie here and watch?" Su Gingsui didn't answer. The only thought left in Lu Anfei's mind was, this Snow Wolf King must have become a spirit. Not the kind of monster that appears after spiritual energy revives, but the actual fairy beast from myths and legends. He's awakened human-level intelligence. Su Gingsui didn't dare to think further. Once spiritual energy revives, how powerful will this Snow Wolf King become? But thankfully, in their past life memories, there's no record of this Snow Wolf King at all. Su Gingsui suddenly froze. Did something bad happen to Wolf Dad later? For some reason, a sharp stinging pain rose in Su Qingshui's heart. This Empress has decided, don't worry, Wolf Dad. Once spiritual energy revives, I will make sure you live a safe and peaceful life. No sooner had Su Qingshui finished her bold declaration than her stomach growled loudly at the worst time. Su Gingsui would never admit that she was hungry. I swiped my wolf claw downwards and stopped only after I'd smoothed the section of the wall flat. Then the other snow wolves swarmed into the tree house and cleaned up all the debris on the floor when I bared my fangs again to carry the two baby girls into the tree house. Looking at the deliberately carved steps and the smooth inner walls of the tree house, Su Gingshui's eyes went wide. I get it now. Wolf Dad built this house for us. Su Gingsui was overwhelmed with indescribable shock. It wasn't the tree house itself that shocked her, but the Snow Wolf King's unimaginable intelligence. As for Lu Anfei, what shocked her was the craftsmanship of the tree house. Hollowing out a tree hole is one thing, but Wolf Dad hollowed it out so neatly and orderly. He even made a raised platform for sleeping and steps for walking. This isn't just basic intelligence. This is craftsmanship. Dad Wolf even knows carpentry. Am I seeing this right? That's not all. Under the shocked gazes of Su Qingshui and Lu Anfei, the other wolves in the pack all swarmed into the Wolf King's original cave, took all the monster beast furs laid on the ground, and spread them inside the newly built treehouse. Not only that, the log fences from the original cave were also taken apart and planted around the giant tree, as if they'd fenced off a private yard. This was the boundary I set for the other wolves. Even though I have full control over the pack, I would never gamble with the two little ones' safety. All necessary safety measures have to be in place. Now came the most important final step. I carried the two little ones and placed them on the specially made bed. Then I walked out of the treehouse with a red fox pelt in my mouth and nailed the red fox pelt to the door. A simple rustic animal skin door was done. Su Gingsui and Lu Anfei's mouths twitched at the same time. If before, the two still had doubts and other guesses in their minds, All those doubts had completely vanished now. This treehouse was definitely Wolf Dad's work. Oh my god. Wolf Dad is really something else. Lu Anfei murmured in awe. Her eyes held a hint of thoughtful realization. Su Jingshu beside her nodded repeatedly. This is insane. A wolf actually knows how to decorate its den. As a former empress, Su Jingshui had met countless powerful demon beasts. But a demon beast like Wolf Dad, she had never even heard of anything like him. Why is this happening? Su Jingshui fell deep in thought. Lu Anfei didn't think that much about it. For her, who was obsessed with martial arts, what she cared more about right now was Wolf Dad's precise control over his strength. It was hard to imagine. Wolf Dad was clearly only an elite-level demon beast. What kind of monster are you, Wolf Dad? The two looked at each other, speechless. Just then, I walked into the treehouse from outside. To make sure the house was warm enough, I didn't cut any windows in the treehouse. But that caused another problem. The treehouse was too dark, so I rolled up the red fox pelt door, letting the warm sunlight outside filter in. Su Jingshui and Lu Anfei didn't understand what I was doing, but they soon started enjoying the rare afternoon sun. 15 minutes later, noises came from outside the treehouse again. Su Jingshui lay in her swaddling clothes and looked toward the door. What she saw made Su Jingshui's jaw nearly drop to the floor in shock. She saw Wolf Dad swing his sharp claws and strike a piece of black flint. The next second, countless sparks flew out and lit the dry fluff I had prepared earlier. Then the other wolves came over carrying sticks, and a roaring fire was lit in no time. That's not even the craziest part. What truly shocked Su Jingshui was Wolf Dad placed a flat stone slab right over the fire. Then the wolves brought over pine branches and monster beast meat. Under the high heat, the pine sap and monster beast fat slowly mixed together and flowed down the grooves carved into the stone slab, into the bamboo tubes I had prepared beforehand. What is he doing now? Lu Anfei, who had been woken up by the smell of meat, stared blankly at the scene before her, completely confused. Su Jingshui just kept shaking her head. This unbelievable scene in front of her had completely defied all common sense. Wolf Dad knows how to use fire. That's impossible. You have to understand, ancient humans spent hundreds of thousands of years before they learned how to use fire. Now a snow wolf was right in front of her, starting a fire with flint, and then cooking. Wait, no, it doesn't look like he's cooking. Su Jingshui's mind was buzzing. Right at that moment, she noticed Wolf Dad turn around and walk into the treehouse, holding a section of bamboo tube in his mouth. Under the two little ones' shocked gazes, I pressed my paw against the wall of the room and dug out a deep hole with one swipe. Then bury that section of bamboo tube diagonally into it. The next second, I fumble for the gravel pieces I'm holding. Rub them gently, which directly ignites the mixed grease inside the bamboo tube. This is an oil lamp. At this moment, both the Empress and the Demon Lord are stunned. Ju Qingxu's pupils shrink sharply in shock. I've roamed the world for over 100 years, but I've never seen such a bizarre thing before. Wolf Dad, have you actually become a spirit? What Lu Anfei cares about is the aura lingering around the bamboo tube, a heavenly and earthly spiritual treasure. Ice Cloud Bamboo, Wolf Dad. That's way too lavish of you. You actually used a heavenly spiritual treasure to make an oil lamp. You have to understand that spiritual energy hasn't started to revive yet. The value of these spiritual treasures, even for her, a former titled powerhouse with her own fief in her past life, is simply immeasurable. Wolf Dad's treatment of them is absolutely impeccable. Maybe this isn't so bad after all. Lu Anfei mumbled to herself in her heart. All this time, in her world, there was nothing but fighting and killing. Survival of the fittest was her life motto. But right now, this motto seems to have lost its meaning. The care given by the Snow Wolf King made Lu Anfei feel a sense of peace she had never experienced before. I howled softly, as if to comfort the two little ones. In this light howl, there was full of comfort and calmness. Lu Qingshui and Lu Anfei knew in their hearts Wolf Dad's care for them was definitely real. Soon the two little ones fell into a deep sleep just like that. I also slept soundly beside them, keeping guard. Until evening came, the two little ones, whose stomachs were growling with hunger, woke me up from my deep sleep. For some reason, when I made eye contact with the two little ones, I somehow felt, in the eyes of these two little ones, there seemed to be some kind of shy emotion. I twitched my nose slightly, and suddenly realized what had happened. Oh wow, the two little ones wet the bed. Good thing I had the foresight earlier. Even though I can't make high-tech stuff like diapers, when I was refining lamp oil, I dried a lot of monster beast furs next to the fire. Under the shy and shocked gazes of the two little ones, I lifted the two little ones up with my wolf paws and called over two female wolves to change the animal skin in their swaddling clothes and threw away their wet diapers as well. Ju Qingsue and Lu Anfei were a little shy at first, but Wolf Dad is just a wolf after all, so there's nothing to be embarrassed about. The two of them convinced themselves pretty quickly. After I lined the swaddling clothes with animal skin, I added a layer of snow sheep wool I hunted as well, and covered it with another layer of animal skin. This way, the two little ones' swaddling bed was instantly transformed into a luxurious crib. On top of the wolf paw, watching Wolf Dad's actions, Su Qingsui and Lu Anfei were both increasingly shocked. Wolf Dad actually prepared mats for us so early. It looks like this Wolf Dad is really responsible. Not just responsible, but also super professional. While the two little ones were letting their thoughts run wild. I didn't forget the important business. Soon the two female wolves, one on the left and one on the right, lay down next to the two little ones and acted as their wet nurses. I turned my gaze to look outside the treehouse. These two little ones have an unbelievably huge appetite. I have to find a way to get some more beast milk. I stayed up all night. The next day I woke up fully. It's time to go hunting. I looked at the two little ones in the swaddling bed. I gently tugged the animal skin with my wolf claw to cover the two little ones' bodies. Then I got up and walked out of the treehouse. This time, I deliberately lowered the volume of my howl so that I wouldn't disturb the two sleeping little ones. Little did I know, Su Qingsui and Lu Anfei had already woken up at the same time. Wolf Dad went hunting. Su Qingsui mumbled softly, then fell back into a deep sleep again. Lu Anfei couldn't help but think a little more. Once upon a time, even she, who was once the titled Demon Lord, had never enjoyed such peace before. A sweet smile hung on the corner of her mouth, and also went back to sleep. Tianshan Forest. I scanned this hunting ground coldly. My front paws sank deep into the snow. The rest of the snow wolves formed a fan-shaped encirclement. On the surface, the snow wolf monsters are fighting separately. But as soon as they spot prey, the snow wolf pack will swarm over from all directions. This trick has never failed me. The north wind carried the unique musk of the snow fox and drifted into my nose. My pupil suddenly narrowed into two thin vertical slits. The prey has appeared. The tendons in my hind legs burst out with immense force in an instant. With the boost from the speed enhancement stripe, I turned into a streak of silver lightning. Finally, I saw the prey, a huge snow fox monster. Surprise was quickly followed by joy. After hunting that mutated deer yesterday, I got a cyan stripe as a drop. Will this mutated fox in front of me bring me another different surprise? I let out a low howl. The next second, the surrounding snow wolf monsters pounced forward like a tide. The mutated snow fox is very strong, but this pack of wolves in my clan have also followed me. Through countless battles, they surrounded the snow fox in an instant. Amid the crisp, clashing sounds of claws and fangs, the mutated snow fox suddenly stood up on its hind legs like a human. Its front limbs, which contained terrifying strength, swept across. No one knows what the snow fox's sharp claws are made of. A larch as thick as half a person's waist snapped on the spot. My eyes lit up immediately when I saw this. Then I pushed off hard with my hind legs and leaped into the air. My sharp, ferocious fangs pierced the mutated snow fox's carotid artery accurately. As the crisp sound of the cervical spine breaking rang out, the blood fox monster died on the spot. You have hunted a quasi-elite level monster. Blade Snow Fox has now reached level 12. Dropped a white stripe. Blade Sharp Claws. Do you want to absorb Blade Sharp Claws? Refine and strengthen the sharp claws with spiritual energy. It can greatly increase the host's attack power and armor-piercing capability. Of course, I will not hesitate. I chose yes immediately. Not long after, a hint of joy appeared on my face. I waved the newly acquired blade-sharp claws on my paws. The ancient tree next to me was cut off by the claw right at its waist. I'm hit the jackpot. After feeling the power contained in the blade-sharp claws, I didn't get carried away with pride. Instead, I led the wolf pack to continue hunting. Inside the snow wolf territory, Su Qingsui and Lu Anfei, who had woken up after their extra sleep, were now lying on the edge of the swaddling bed. Looking at the world outside the treehouse, the two of them no longer had to worry about their own safety. Instead, they had developed a sense of boring loneliness. In layman's terms, they are just bored out of their minds. Lu Anfei was now counting the number of silver hairs on a piece of animal skin. Just then, outside the treehouse, a group of playing wolf cubs suddenly appeared, which added a bit of fun to their boring day. Su Jingsui suddenly noticed something. Do you feel like this whole snow wolf pack seems to be really smart? Look at those wolf cubs. Their eyes look really weird. Hearing that, Luo Anfei looked over in that direction. Their eyes are all pure ice blue. But apart from wildness in their eyes, there also seems to be a faint sense of curiosity. One of the cubs seemed to want to approach the treehouse, but was stopped by the female wolf. Su Jingsui and Luo Anfei had already realized one thing. The intelligence that these wolf beasts possess has already completely surpassed that of ordinary wild animals. Right at this moment, a sudden change occurred. A female wolf that stayed behind to guard the pack suddenly let out a hurried, low growl. Su Jingsui and Luo Anfei didn't understand wolf language, but they could still hear the threat and tension in the roar. What's going on? The Empress and the Demon Lord's pupils widened at the same time. Right at this moment, Su Jingsui and Luo Anfei saw the dense crowd of black-gray wolf beasts outside the door. There are almost 30 black wolves. The wolf beasts Su Jingsui and Luo Anfei both panicked. Neither of them dared to hope that there would be a wolf king among those gray wolves who would be willing to take them in. The next second, a long howl full of killing intent rang out. Another dozen sturdy black wolves walked out of the forest. But in the current snow wolf pack, only 2 adult male wolves and 9 female wolves are left. How can they fend off the black wolf pack that's several times their size? Did I, the monarch, get reborn only halfway and have my whole clan wiped out before I even get started? Luo Anfei was stunned. Hearing these words, Su Jingsui couldn't help twitching the corner of her mouth. Couldn't he have said something nice? Why did he have to say something so unlucky? But she also had to admit that the remaining wolf beasts of the snow wolf pack were no match for the black wolf pack at all. At the critical moment, an extremely loud wolf howl sounded outside the forest, spreading from very far away. It's a wolf? Su Jingsui was slightly startled. Luo Anfei next to her hurriedly patted his non-existent chest. That was close, Wolf Dad. Come save us quick. But Su Jingsui suddenly thought of something. Her brows furrowed slightly, even with Wolf Dad added in. The total effective combat power of the entire snow wolf pack only seems to be equivalent to a little over 20 wolves. But the opposing black wolf pack has no less than 50 wolf beasts at the very least. While it's true that Wolf Dad is an elite-level demon beast, those black wolves are all spirit-level demon beasts too. This is bad. I, who had received the warning from the female wolf in the forest, pushed my speed to the absolute limit and soon arrived in front of the pack's den. The scene before my eyes directly awakened the beastly instincts in my body. My ice-blue beast pupils were filled with rage. These black wolves dared to trespass on my hunting grounds. They even charged all the way to the snow wolf pack's den. If I hadn't had a sudden impulse today to end my hunt early, the thought of the tragedy that might have befallen the snow wolf pack made flames of rage flicker in my eyes. All of you deserve to die, especially right now. I already treat the 2 little human brats as my own family. As my roar rang out, the black wolf pack also spotted me. Waves of wolf howls rang out. A tall, imposing black wolf king stepped out from the pack. Seeing the black wolf king appear, Su Jingsui and Luo Anfei both froze at the same time. Elite-level demon beast. It seems the rumors are true after all. The demon race really is blessed by heaven and earth. Even before spiritual energy began to revive, they had already started evolving. Right now, Su Jingsui wasn't excited at all about discovering the truth. Instead, her face was filled with nothing but tension. They're both elite-level demon beasts, but the black wolf pack's numbers completely crushed the snow wolf packs. No matter how they fight, it seems the outcome of this battle is already decided. Just as the 2 little ones were panicking, I had already launched the first attack. At my command, all the snow wolves immediately entered a combat stance. I myself charged at the very front and rushed straight into the black wolf pack. Luo Anfei didn't dare to keep watching and covered his eyes with his hand. Su Jingsui, on the other hand, was nervously observing the situation on the battlefield. Right at this moment, the sharp blade claws trait showed its full power. The wolf claws I swung became a peerless weapon that reaped lives. Every swipe of my claws brought up splatters of blood. The Black Wolf King was just about to fight me in a king versus king battle, when I instantly arched my back and tensed my muscles. Sharp blade claws flashed past as I turned into a silver streak of light. Between the rise and fall of my sharp claws, I reaped the lives of several black wolf demon beasts. That included the Black Wolf King. The battle reached its peak at this moment. Inside the treehouse, Luo Anfei's eyes went wide and couldn't help murmuring, "Am I still dreaming? Did Wolf Dad just finish him off? That was the Black Wolf King. He one-shot him with a single claw. The fierce battle was still going on. My combat power is indeed very strong. But when facing these fearless wolf beasts, sharp blade claws would eventually be blocked by their bones. My pride and joy, my speed, would also be slowed down by the pools of blood. After the Wolf King died, all the black wolves fell into a berserk state and surged towards me like a tidal wave. A streak of blood shot up into the sky. Now I was the one who was injured. My silver fur was finally stained with my own blood. Su Gingsui froze for a split second. She was deeply moved. Wolf Dad is hurt? She was clearly just a baby girl. But the soul of the female empress inside her was burning with rage. Luo Anfei next to her also froze. His two small fists were clenched tightly. Damned black wolves. Killing intent filled Luo Anfei's pupils. She could clearly feel how much Wolf Dad cared for them. But right now, she could do nothing to help. Luo Anfei was so angry he was about to explode. Luckily, while the black wolves' attacks were ferocious, I wasn't a pushover either. Gale rises again. Cold light flashes. With a human soul, I had only wanted to come out of this unhurt. But now that I was injured, I threw all caution to the wind. A wolf howl carrying the purest killing intent rang out. Skill, Howl at the Moon, activated. This is a skill only royal demon beasts can use. After hearing the howl, the snow wolf demon beasts were all encouraged, and their combat power skyrocketed. The scales of victory gradually tilted towards the snow wolf pack. The outcome was decided. It was only at this moment that Luo Anfei let out a long sigh of relief. Wolf Dad is really something else. We won. As he said these words, scenes of Wolf Dad fighting. The black wolves flashed through Luo Anfei's mind. His cold gaze and sharp, decisive killing moves were absolutely textbook perfect. But what shocked her even more was Wolf Dad's combat power. He was clearly already injured. But when facing a wolf pack several times his size, he didn't fall behind at all. That combat power is simply monstrous. Compared to Luo Anfei, while Su Qingsui was also shocked by Wolf Dad's combat power, what she cared more about was the glances Wolf Dad kept throwing towards the treehouse. Su Qingsui was sure that she felt the rage in Wolf Dad's pupils. It wasn't just because his authority was challenged, or his territory was trespassed on. More importantly, it was because of her and Lu Anfei's safety. That is to say, Wolf Dad really did see them as family. At this thought, an unprecedented shock rose in Su Qingsui's eyes. So this is what it feels like to be cared for by someone. Su Gingjui suddenly smiled. She was clearly only a baby, but her smile was so deep and heavy. On the battlefield, I, who was covered in blood, sank my consciousness deep into my sea of knowledge. You have killed spirit-level demon beast black-backed wolf. Dropped green trait, black wolf claw, absorb. You have killed elite-level demon beast black wolf king. Dropped white trait, black wolf intimidation. Absorb, black wolf intimidation. Silver grade innate trait, can greatly increase control over the black wolf race. I hesitated slightly. I already had a plan in mind. That series of green traits weren't anything good anyway. They also conflicted with the snow wolf bloodline in my body. I used all of them as nourishment to strengthen the other traits I possessed. As for black wolf intimidation, after absorbing it, it evolved into snow wolf intimidation. Just as I had guessed, black wolves and snow wolves are both wolf-type demon beasts after all. At this moment, I looked at my own stat panel. After absorbing so many traits, I now have 4 white traits. Although my level only rose to level 14, my combat power has already surpassed that of ordinary elite-level demon beasts. Before I knew it, the great battle came to a quiet end. The black wolf demon beasts that came to snatch food were almost completely wiped out by the snow wolf pack. The snow wolf pack also suffered casualties. 2 snow wolves died in the battle. 3 snow wolves were injured. 1 snow wolf was on the verge of death. Despite winning the battle, the atmosphere at the snow wolf camp was faintly heavy. After witnessing the wolf clan's bloody battle with their own eyes, there was an inexplicable look of emotion in the eyes of Su Qingsui and Luo Anfei. These snow wolves all died fighting for me, the Empress. Even with the soul of the Empress, Su Qingsui still felt that she could barely bear the weight of these 2 snow wolves' deaths. Luo Anfei, who was standing nearby, also chose to remain silent, but she was born with a warlike personality. After being silent for a long time, she finally spoke up. These 2 snow wolves died fighting for me, the monarch. I will never forget this for the rest of my life. But right now, A more practical problem is right in front of us. The dying snow wolf probably doesn't have much time left. Not only that, the other few slightly injured wolves, if their wounds get infected, they won't live long either. What worries Su Qingxui and Luo Anfei the most is that Dad Wolf seems to be injured too. At this thought, Su Jingsui and Luo Anfei started to panic a little. It looks like Dad Wolf's injury is pretty serious. Damn it. If only we had awakened our spiritual energy already. Maybe we could help a little. But now powerless, Su Jingsui and Luo Anfei suddenly looked dejected. But just then, the loud howl of the chief wolf rang out again. There was a sudden commotion outside the treehouse. Su Jingsui and Luo Anfei looked outside at the same time, with confused looks on their faces. What is Dad Wolf doing? These flames. But what happened next? Completely shattered Su Jingsui and Luo Anfei's worldview. Under the shocked gazes of the two, the wolves carried a semicircular natural stone mortar from afar and set it over the fire. It looked like it was being used as a stone pot. The black soot on the side of the stone pot already proved that this wasn't the first time they'd done this. Dad Wolf started the fire and set up the pot. Is he going to hold a feast? Luo Anfei's voice rose a little pitch unconsciously, but that couldn't fully show the shock in her heart. Everything Dad Wolf did was weird and showed an intelligence that demon beasts shouldn't have. Did we get Dad Wolf wrong? He's not going to adopt us. He's going to stew us and eat us. Su Jingsui was speechless at her own analysis, but the facts did seem to be developing in that direction. The female wolves used spiritual pearls as containers and soon brought stream water from the water source. Then they poured it into the stone pot. Luo Anfei was also stunned? No way. I, the monarch, am going to be stewed. Just as the two were in shock, a few more female wolves came from the cave I used to live in, carrying some dry branches and dead grass in their mouths. They looked ordinary, but a strange fragrance suddenly appeared in the air. The next second, I threw the branches and dry grass into the stone pot and started to boil them. Along with the slightly bitter smell wafting out of the stone pot, the truth came out. Luo Anfei was completely dumbfounded. Oh no, the side dishes are already cooked. Dad Wolf really wants to stew me for food. Hearing that, the corner of Su Qingshui's mouth twitched. Idiot, can't you tell? Dad Wolf is boiling Chinese herbal medicine. Luo Anfei's pupils constricted, as if she had just woken up from a dream. Unprecedented shock instantly appeared in her eyes. She would rather believe that Dad Wolf wanted to stew her than believe what was happening in front of her. Their Dad Wolf, an elite-grade wolf beast, actually knows about Chinese herbal medicine. This must be an illusion. Luo Anfei quickly rubbed her eyes, hoping that she was still dreaming, but the bitter smell that filled her nose didn't lie. Luo Anfei could even vaguely recognize the names of several medicinal herbs in it. At this moment, the demon monarch was stunned. This is impossible. Su Jingxi almost turned to stone on the spot. How can Dad Wolf know so much? I then scooped out the boiled medicinal liquid, let it cool down, and fed it to the injured wolves. The few snow wolves that took the herbal medicine all showed slight signs of improvement in their breathing, especially the heavily injured dying wolf. Its originally dilated pupils gradually focused again. Its rapid breathing also slowly calmed down. Seeing this scene, Su Jingxi was instantly stunned. Something's wrong. That pot of medicinal liquid is definitely not just ordinary herbal medicine. Bone-condensing flour, white joint bamboo, boiling bloodgrass. Oh my God. What was boiled wasn't just herbal medicine. It even had the texture of heavenly and earthly spiritual treasures. Su Jingsui finally understood why the effect of the medicinal liquid was so good. Dad Wolf was able to evolve to the elite demon beast level before the spiritual energy revived. Obviously, Dad Wolf must have devoured heavenly and earthly spiritual treasures before. Even though it's a huge waste, it undoubtedly allowed Dad Wolf to awaken earlier and gain spiritual intelligence. At this thought, the demon monarch was instantly stunned. Since Dad Wolf has gained spiritual intelligence, he should know better. How important those spiritual treasures are to him. How could he waste them like this? This kind of selflessness shouldn't appear on a demon beast, especially on a snow wolf king. But the fact is right in front of them. Luo Anfei couldn't figure it out, but Su Qingshui had a look of surprise and expectation in her eyes. Maybe this is the reason why Dad Wolf adopted them, because Dad Wolf is different from other demon beasts. As the fire burned, the medicinal liquid started to take effect. Soon, all the injured wolves became lively and energetic again. When Su Qingxi looked at me, her pupils were filled with more and more curiosity and more shock. Compared to the reserved Su Sui, Luo'anfei's shock was almost uncontrollable. Dad Wolf is so awesome. Fighting a whole crowd of enemies alone is already impressive. But he can even use herbal medicine to treat the snow wolves after the battle. Inside the Snow Wolf clan's territory, after all the injured were treated, the atmosphere didn't return to normal. It became even more solemn. Su Sui was shocked to find that Dad Wolf was gone. Hundreds of meters away from the Snow Wolf settlement, in a gurgling stream, I dragged my blood-covered wolf body and jumped straight in. If I didn't clean the blood off my body soon, it might cause the wounds to get infected. Even though I'm confident in my physique, I don't want to joke around with my life. The ice-cold stream water quickly washed all the blood stains off my body. When I returned to the Snow Wolf camp, my pale silver fur had regained its original nobility and magnificence. Seeing Dad Wolf appear out of nowhere again, Su Sui let out a long sigh of relief. She thought something bad had happened to Dad Wolf, but even though Dad Wolf was back, the weird atmosphere emanating from the Snow Wolf clan confused Su Sui greatly. I walked into the treehouse, first checking if the two little ones had wet the bed. Then I gently picked up the two of them along with their swaddling clothes in my mouth. Through those icy, bicolored eyes, the two of them felt the grief in Dad Wolf's heart at the same time. This kind of emotion that should only exist in humans actually appeared on Dad Wolf. Su Sui's mind went blank with a buzz. Luo'anfei was much more emotional. After feeling the grief in Dad Wolf's heart, her mood also involuntarily dropped. Soon she and Su Sui were carried out of the treehouse and brought to the open space in the woods. Why did Dad Wolf bring them here? Luo'anfei couldn't figure it out no matter how hard she thought, but she keenly noticed that there were many raised mounds in this woodland, as well as dry tree trunks buried vertically into the ground. Where on earth is this? Could there be some rare celestial spiritual treasure hidden here? That's the only possibility Luo'anfei could think of. Right at this moment, all the wolves in the entire Snow Wolf pack are marching towards this place in an orderly manner. The two leading snow wolves are holding the necks of the fallen wolves in their mouths. Luo'anfei couldn't help but feel a jolt in her heart. Is Wolf Dad going to eat these two snow wolves? Cannibalism among the same species, for demonic beasts, seems perfectly normal. But for Su Sui and Luo'anfei, if Wolf Dad really eats his own kind, that would only prove one thing. No matter how special Wolf Dad is, he is still just a wolf after all. The two snow wolf corpses are gently placed on the ground. I take a few steps forward and stop in front of the small hill. Then my wolf paws move quickly on the ground and dig out two small pits in no time. I bare my fangs, my ice blue eyes glinting. I grab the bodies of my two kin between my teeth, but don't bite down hard. Then I bury my two kin with my paws. I swat a small nearby tree with my paw and cut it into two logs instantly. I apply a little force with my front paws and stick the two logs into the soil. Now Su Sui and Luo'anfei understand Wolf Dad is actually holding a funeral for those two snow wolves. Yes, a real funeral. Su Sui feels her heart racing. If she hadn't seen this with her own eyes, no one would believe her if she told them, what are demonic beasts? They are widely recognized as having strong bodies but low intelligence. But Wolf Dad's existence makes Su Sui doubt this so-called iron rule. Such deep and profound emotion, not even all humans can truly understand it. Yet now it's displayed by a snow wolf king. Luo'anfei standing beside her stares blankly, her pupils dilated. Has Wolf Dad become a spirit? Luo'anfei sounds like she's joking, but she's actually trying her best to suppress the surreal, dreamlike feeling in her heart. Finally, Luo'anfei calms down. She lifts her eyes and meets Su Sui's gaze. They look at each other without speaking. The shockingly impactful scene before their eyes leaves both the Empress and the Demon Lord silent at the same time. The next second, I suddenly lift my head and let out a deep, melodious, far-reaching howl. As the breeze blows through the forest, the solemn atmosphere at the scene is gradually blown away by the wind. This special funeral is over. Su Sui and Luo'anfei go from being shocked and moved at the beginning to finally lowering their heads together and mourning quietly along with the Snow Wolf pack. Out of the corner of my eye, I see the two little ones acting like they're mourning royalty, and I can't help but pause for a second. These two little ones seem pretty smart. The funeral ends. I gently pick up the swaddle holding the two of them in my mouth and head towards the treehouse. But halfway there, I look at an open spot where sunlight is shining down. I think for a second and decide to let the two little ones get some sun. At the same time, along with the low growl, Rumbling in my throat, all the snow wolves start moving at once and start cleaning up the battlefield. Although these black wolves are also part of the wolf species. For the snow wolf clan, their corpses are still food. Many snow wolves pick up the black wolf corpses scattered all over the ground and head towards the area next to the former Wolf King's cave. Suging Sui grows curious. What are they doing? Luo Anfei's eyes finally make out what's there, right next to the original Wolf King's cave. There's another hidden cave. Not only that, wispy cold air seeps out of the cave entrance from time to time. Luo Anfei is a little dumbfounded. Are they burying the black wolves' corpses? It doesn't really look like it. Just as she's stunned, Suging Sui finally realizes what's going on. Curiosity and shock appear on her face. I get it. This is the Snow Wolf clan's special cellar for storing food. Admittedly, compared to the funeral, this cellar isn't that impressive. Snow wolves naturally have the habit of storing food, but this cellar looks quite extraordinary. That cold air seems to contain faint spiritual energy. Luo Anfei is pretty careless by nature, so she isn't that shocked by it. Wolf Boss really doesn't waste anything, huh? Hearing this, Suging Sui shakes her head repeatedly, a strange glint appearing in her eyes. You don't get it. The icy spiritual energy seeping out of that cave is no ordinary thing. As the snow wolf demonic beasts keep working, most of the black wolf corpses that originally covered the battlefield have already been moved into the cellar. Suging Sui's gaze stays on the cave entrance for a long time, the cold air that lingers for ages, the faint ice crystals at the entrance. This cave is obviously an ice house. Luo Anfei can't quite wrap her head around it. Ice house or whatever. It's just a storage room, right? But the next second, Luo Anfei also freezes on the spot. Snow wolves' brains shouldn't have evolved to the point where they know how to use an ice house to store food, right? The two empresses have many realizations in their hearts. Their expressions keep changing too. But from my perspective, I just think the two little ones are curious about new things, that's all. I look at the two little ones rather fondly and become more determined in my heart to protect these two little ones. After cleaning up the battlefield, another group of snow wolves returns from the forest, bringing back the prey they left behind earlier. There are snow fox corpses, elk meat, and even, under the herding of several snow wolves, a group of snow sheep covered in fluffy fur appear in the Snow Wolf clan's settlement. Suging Su's mind goes blank on the spot. A flock of snow sheep. Luo Anfei also falls into deep thought. Wolf Dad, what are you doing now? The two women are truly confused right now. Luo Anfei narrows her eyes. Although she hasn't awakened her powers yet, she still has the insight of a titled demon lord. She sees at a glance that this group of snow sheep shows signs of mutation. Given time, they will definitely awaken their demonic spirit talents and fully transform into demonic beasts. But why are all these snow sheep female? Before Suging Sui and Luo Anfei can think more about it, the snow sheep catch the scent of blood and instantly become restless. The surrounding snow wolves can barely control them. They won't let the sheep escape, will they? Luo Anfei's eyes widen, a strange look in her eyes. The next second I stand up straight. A sudden wolf howl breaks the silence and completely calms the restlessness of the snow sheep at the same time. All the snow sheep are intimidated. I just tested the effect of my snow wolf intimidation, and it's several times stronger than I thought. The snow sheep even quiet their breathing, as if they have surrendered. I immediately take a few steps forward and walk up to the group of snow sheep. My sharp wolf claws scratch across the ground and mark out an area in an instant. Then I swing my paw and chop down more than a dozen trees. Is he drawing a prison on the ground? Luo Anfei looks like she's thought of something terrifying and can't help leaning back a little. The next second I wave my paw. My razor-sharp claws, normally used for deadly attacks, become my carpentry tools right now. My paws move quickly and instantly carve the tree trunks on the ground into wooden stakes. Then I drive the stakes into the ground and build a fence along the line I drew. Is Wolf Dad going to raise the snow sheep? Luo Anfei mumbles to herself. After exchanging a glance with Empress Suging Sui, they both see the shock in each other's eyes. Unbelievable. It's already crazy that Wolf Dad uses an ice house to store food. But now he's even raising livestock. Spiritual energy hasn't even revived yet. And Wolf Dad already plans to lead the Snow Wolf pack. To evolve straight from hunting snow sheep to farming them, it feels weird no matter how you think about it. Suging Sui falls into deep thought. Is Wolf Dad really developing animal husbandry? If you look at it from a human perspective, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But here's the thing. Wolf Dad isn't even human. Another long howl rang out. The snow wolf's oppressive aura flared again. 2 trembling female snow goats in the herd slowly stood up. They walked to either side of the 2 kids and lay down. At the same time, from the bodies of the female snow goats, a faint milky scent of goat milk drifted into the air. After catching that sweet, slightly gamey scent, the 2 little ones finally snapped out of their daze. "This is goat milk." Su Gingshui and Lu Anfei exchanged a look. They finally realized the real intention behind Wolf Dad's action. Whoa. Wolf Dad was keeping the snow goats just to improve their meals. That's why he penned those snow goats up. Su Jingji's guess turned out to be true. For a moment, she could only murmur in realization. Wolf Dad wasn't worried about the pack running out of food. He was worried about the 2 of us. Lu Anfei froze when she heard that. Then she whirled around sharply and looked at Wolf Dad, who was busy building the sheep pen. "Is this for me?" Lu Anfei asked softly. Some unknown emotion was churning in her chest. An indescribable warmth burst from the bottom of her heart. As the Demon Lord, she had never felt this kind of care before. She quietly stored this moving feeling deep in her heart. "It seems I owe Wolf Dad more and more now," she thought to herself emotionally. Right then, her stomach rumbled loudly. The next second, the 2 kids dropped all pretense of reserve and pounced straight at the female snow goats and started gulping down the goat milk. Soon I finished building the sheep pen. After locking up all the snow goats, I carried the 2 little ones by the scruff and went back to the treehouse. The night passed quickly. The next day, since all the black wolves had been wiped out, I had a few snow wolves mark all the former black wolf territory as ours, expanding our pack's territory. Then I headed back to the treehouse. Looking at the 2 kids' bare little bodies, it wasn't cold inside the treehouse. But winter was coming. I needed to get clothes for the 2 little ones. After thinking for a moment, I got an idea. I fetched a few black wolf corpses from the ice cellar soon. I easily skinned them with my claws. My sharp claws worked perfectly as tailoring tools. Su Gingshui and Lu Anfei looked on in complete shock. "What is Wolf Dad doing?" I cut the wolf pelts into strips with my claws. Then I sewed together pieces of softer snow fox fur and ended up with 2 fur dresses made of fox pelt. Su Gingshui and Lu Anfei were stunned silly. Wolf Dad holding funerals, building ice cellars and sheep pens could be explained by him having awakened higher intelligence. But what is he doing now? Is the Snow Wolf King suddenly working as a tailor? Am I dreaming? Su Gingshui was totally confused. The dress was so ugly it was almost hard to look at, but it was made by Wolf Dad himself. Lu Anfei was indescribably shocked. She quietly put the fox fur dress on, putting everything else aside. The snow fox fur was really warm, and it was super comfortable to wear. Su Gingshui followed her lead and put on her snow-white fur dress too. I looked at the 2 little ones in their fur dresses. My eyes lit up with joy immediately. From a distance, they looked just like little wolf pups. I smiled genuinely. After they put on the snow fox dresses, Su Gingshui and Lu Anfei, I carried them out of the treehouse again by the scruff. For little kids like them, getting more sun never hurt anyone. A few of the young wolf pups in the pack saw the 2 human little girls and immediately grew curious. What surprised Su Gingshui and Lu Anfei was, when the pups played next to them, they deliberately kept their fangs and claws tucked away. These newborn snow wolf pups, their intelligence was already on par with the demon beasts after spiritual energy revival. "They're all monsters," Su Gingshui sighed with genuine amazement. But she had to admit, this kind of life wasn't half bad. Just like that, they settled down peacefully with the snow wolf pack. In just 5 days, it felt like they had completely blended into the snow wolf pack. Suddenly, I sensed something wrong. I looked up sharply. I realized that before I knew it, a full moon was hanging in the sky with a strange aura. The setting sun plunged below the horizon abruptly. Right at this moment, Lu Anfei and Su Gingshui seemed to sense something too. They looked up in unison. The full moon means the first spiritual energy tide of the revival is coming. The 2 girls looked excited and thrilled, even though they were stuck in infant bodies right now and couldn't start cultivating properly yet. They were both top-tier powerhouses in their own right. Once the spiritual energy tide arrives, they only need to use their breathing techniques to start refining their aptitude even as infants. The next second, the sky went dark abruptly. The entire forest fell into an eerie silence. My icy blue pupils constricted sharply. For some reason, when I breathed now, I could faintly feel something extra in the air. I looked around. I finally noticed that under the moonlight, pale Kian aura was gushing up from the ground. "Spiritual energy," I thought to myself thoughtfully. Su Gingsui and Lu Anfei closed their eyes in unison. Faint wisps of spiritual energy were drawn to Su Qingshui and Lu Anfei. A faint holy aura suddenly surrounded them. But they weren't the only ones changing. Under the moonlight, all the snow wolves were going through a transformation. Thanks to me hunting prey that already had spiritual energy, the snow wolves already had traces of spiritual energy in their bodies, which allowed them to resonate with the spiritual energy tide. Led by me, all the snow wolf demon beasts joined in. A long, melodious howl rang out across the moonlit night. Then from deep inside the forest, thousands of demon beasts started roaring too. All the beasts roared in competition, as if celebrating the arrival of the spiritual energy revival era. Right then, Su Jingshui and Lu Anfei snapped their eyes open. Su Gingshui's innate breathing technique was now successfully circulating in her infant body, even though it showed less than 1% of its full power. It was enough to push Su Qingshui into the spiritual energy realm. Lu Anfei achieved the same. From now on, it's only a matter of time before they return to their peak strength. At the same time, I, standing in front of the treehouse, was the first to open my eyes. System notification. Global spiritual energy revival has begun. Host's current level has been upgraded to level 16. Host receives spiritual energy feedback. Awakened talent. Pack resonance. 2 consecutive system notifications popped up. A smile tugged at the corner of my mouth immediately. Surprises always come so unexpectedly. With the spiritual energy revival, I leveled up 2 times straight. As for the awakened pack resonance talent, only those with Wolf King bloodline can awaken this. It forms a bond with all wolves of the same pack. All stats of the Snow Wolf pack are increased by 15% via resonance. When this effect took place, all the wolves in the Snow Wolf pack seemed to sense it. They lifted their heads in my direction and howled loudly with their heads raised. The next second, 20 faint spiritual energy auras burst out from around Su Qingshui and Lu Anfei, shocking the 2 girls who had just been feeling pleased with themselves. No way, you've got to be kidding me. The spiritual energy revival has barely started. All the demon beasts of the Snow Wolf pack have already completed their first evolution. They all entered the spiritual energy realm as demon beasts. Some of them even reached the quasi-elite demon beast level. How insane is Wolf Dad's pack? Exactly. Maybe that's why Wolf Dad knows so many things. It's not just Wolf Dad. The entire Snow Wolf pack has monstrous aptitude. Lu Anfei thought to herself, but this theory didn't hold up at all. All along, she and Su Qingshui knew very well the most special one in the entire Wolf clan was Wolf Dad. If nothing goes wrong, all the recent changes in the Snow Wolf pack are probably all related to Wolf Dad. But then again, how on earth did their Wolf Dad pull all this off? Under the moonlight, all the wolves bowed to the moon first. Then they all crouched low in my direction. In each pair of ice blue beast crystals was filled with absolute loyalty and fanaticism. Su Qingshui and Lu Anfei both fell silent. Originally, after intercepting that wisp of spiritual energy, the 2 women were once on guard against each other, afraid that the other would take the first step and seize all advantages. Well, things are different now. After seeing the talents of the Snow Wolf pack and Wolf Dad, the 2 of them gave up that ridiculous plan. After all, this body is far too weak. Lu Anfei told the truth. For now, we will use spiritual energy to nourish our bodies. When the spiritual energy fully recovers, it won't be long before I can officially awaken my talent and start cultivating. That's when the 2 of us can compete. Su Gingshui fell silent at these words. Silence is consent. Obviously, she also clearly realized that before she awakens her own talent, there is very little she can do. Right at this moment, I walked slowly towards them. Wolf Dad seemed to have expended a lot of energy. Su Gingshui noticed the change in Wolf Dad, that slightly weakened aura, and immediately figured out the truth.
It seems
that elite rank is already Wolf Dad's limit at this stage. Although this spiritual energy tide has raised Wolf Dad's rank by quite a lot, his potential has probably been overdrawn quite a bit too. Lu Anfei let out an immediate "oh" of realization. Sure enough, according to theories from future generations, the elite rank is the limit before spiritual energy truly recovers. Just then, the forest echoed with the roars of demonic beasts rising one after another. The demonic beasts were ready to make a move. Su Qingshui and Lu Anfei looked around. They didn't think much of it at first. In the forest, hundreds of eerie pupils were glowing menacingly. Some were as cold as ghostly fires, others as scarlet as bloodlight. The sheer number of them made one's scalp tingle, although most of these demonic beasts were only at spirit energy rank. Their sheer numbers were overwhelming. There were at least 300 to 500 of them. Is there going to be another bloody battle tonight? Suging-zue thought of a certain possibility. Wolf Dad is very strong. That's true, but facing a siege by hundreds of demonic beasts, I'm afraid there's only a dead end. Lu Anfei couldn't help clenching her fists. Right now, she wanted nothing more than to fight side by side with Wolf Dad. But her infant body was a burden. I was a little worried about the two little ones. After the horde of beasts roared just now, there was a bit more worry in their eyes. It made my heart ache when I saw it. These blind bastards. I looked very gently at the two little ones and whimpered softly, as if to tell them to be good. The next second, I suddenly pushed off the ground with all four paws. A deafening wolf howl shook the sky and echoed through the forest. This wasn't some kind of negotiation. It was a one-sided warning. Under the effect of the pack resonance trait, this howl not only contained the power of the snow wolf's coercion, but also absorbed the aura of the other snow wolf demonic beasts. After that one howl, the whole world suddenly went quiet. The many demonic beasts spying in the dark were all frightened by my killing intent. Then I gently bared my fangs and carried the two little ones back to the treehouse in my mouth, the demon lord of the fortress. Lu Anfei was already starting to doubt her entire life. It's true that Wolf Dad's realm is only elite rank, but the Wolf King coercion from that howl just now was already close to transcendent rank. Maybe the opportunity Wolf Dad got in the spiritual energy tide is far beyond my imagination, Lu Anfei mumbled to herself. She was already lost in a trance. King Shui was staring blankly at Wolf Dad, her breathing unconsciously growing heavier. Wolf Dad broke through again without us knowing. After bringing the two little ones back to the treehouse, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Tonight is not going to be peaceful, but no matter what happens, I will never let the two little ones be threatened. Outside the treehouse, after the snow wolf pack had all awakened, they all spontaneously guarded the perimeter of the treehouse. Beneath the full moon, the snow wolf settlement was perfectly peaceful. It's a shame tonight is destined to be sleepless. My wolf howl suppressed many weak demonic beasts, but it also drew the prying eyes of elite rank demonic beasts at the same time. Right now, an overbearing and fierce roar responded to my earlier long howl. Its figure had not yet appeared, but Su Qingshui and Lu Anfei could already sense the danger from this roar. A tiger's roar shook the mountains and forest. It was the roar of a tiger beast. Lu Anfei's guess was completely correct. Outside the unblocked entrance of the treehouse, two faint glows could be vaguely seen deep in the faraway forest. At first, they were extremely far, seemingly over 1,000 meters away. The next second, a dark shadow sliced through the night, revealing its entire body. It was a colossal beast over 4 meters long. After seeing the giant beast's figure clearly, Su Qingshui and Lu Anfei were both dumbfounded at the same time. In the Tianshan forest, there's actually a Siberian tiger here, elite rank tiger demonic beast. Lu Anfei broke the silence. I just thought the two little ones were frightened and didn't think much of it. I turned around and walked out of the treehouse. And right outside the treehouse, the many snow wolf demonic beasts of the Snow Wolf clan all stood up at the same time and scanned their surroundings. They surrounded the treehouse with their bodies. And right across from them was that terrifying tiger beast? Siberian tiger, level 18. Elite rank demonic beast. Talent traits: full swift tiger, full strength boost. Sharp claws, full. This demonic beast is no ordinary one. It's actually 2 levels higher than me, and its skills look pretty impressive too. A hint of fighting spirit appeared in my eyes. But when I thought of the two little ones behind me in the treehouse, I managed to suppress the restlessness in my heart after all. Meanwhile, inside the treehouse, the Empress and the Demon Lord were both panicking. There's no mistake. This is an elite rank tiger beast. I'm not going to end up in a tiger's stomach today, am I? Lu Anfei fluttered her big eyes. Although Wolf Dad had brought them many surprises, the two of them knew very well in their hearts that Tiger Clan demonic beasts and Wolf Clan demonic beasts have an insurmountable natural gap between them in strength. Wolf Dad, save us. I, the Empress, don't want to become that tiger beast's food. Su Qingshui could no longer keep calm at this moment, but Lu Anfei just kept shaking her head. Her lavender eyes were already glazed over. It's useless. In battles of the same rank, even though Wolf Dad is the Snow Wolf King, there's no way he's a match for that tiger beast. Even if the entire Snow Wolf pack attacks together, the odds of winning are still slim. The next second, the tiger beast came charging from afar, then stopped right in front of the treehouse, and just stood off against us like this. But the Snow Wolf clan, led by me, didn't panic at all. The two sides actually fell into a weird stalemate. The tiger beast finally couldn't hold back its killing intent any longer, and suddenly changed direction. Like a tiger entering a flock of sheep, it started slaughtering indiscriminately. Over a dozen snow sheep lost their lives in just a few breaths. Sugingsu's gaze darkened. This tiger beast's fighting power is no joke. A bit more worry immediately rose in her heart. Lu Anfei beside her somehow opened her mouth. Oh no, my milk providers. The corner of Su Qingsui's mouth twitched wildly instantly. What kind of time is this to be thinking about that? You're still worrying about those sheep? The ferocity of that tiger beast. I saw it all clearly. Raging fury instantly ignited in my eyes. But right now, the safety of the little ones is more important. Thinking of this, I held it back for the time being. But that damn tiger didn't let up now that it had the upper hand. It stepped on the corpses of the many snow sheep, gobbling up their flesh and blood, then suddenly turned its massive body around. Its gloomy gaze locked onto me. This guy finally couldn't hold back his killing intent, and actually pounced directly towards the snow wolf pack. Inside the treehouse, the subadult, snow wolves were all intimidated by the tiger's might. They were trembling all over, but just then, a young wolf finally overcame the fear in its heart, and let out a howl. Right after that, the other young wolves started howling along too, as if responding to the big beast's roar. Su Xingsui and Lu Anfei were even more shaken to their core. Who would have thought this pack of wolf cubs would display courage far beyond their years? In the meantime, a fight was on the verge of breaking out. Under my command, the pack launched a coordinated siege on the tiger. After the entire snow wolf pack attacked in unison, the two sides seemed to be evenly matched. The ferocious tiger was now out for blood. Su Xingsui and Luo Anfei both tensed up at the same time. Judging by the tiger's performance, its combat power was even stronger than they had expected. Luo Anfei was instantly overwhelmed by despair. This is it. Am I really going to get eaten by a tiger today? Right at this moment, I moved. The muscles in my limbs contracted suddenly, surging into enormous strength. My front paw struck with lightning speed, aiming straight for the vital point on the tiger's flank. The single blow tore right through the tiger's skin and flesh. The Siberian tiger howled in pain. It let out a furious roar. Speed boost. Ability activated. My wolf body darted like lightning, as if guided by some invisible force, avoiding the impact of the tiger's roar. I then let out an equally deep and powerful wolf howl. The difference was, this howl had no direct offensive power. But the snow wolf pack, hearing their alpha's order, moved into action. The Siberian tiger hadn't recovered from the shock of the sneak attack, when it was set upon by a dozen snow wolves the next second. Under my guidance, the snow wolf pack turned into an extremely efficient killing machine. Just one round of coordinated attacks left countless wounds all over the tiger's body. The Siberian tiger reared up on its hind legs. The final showdown was about to begin, but I had already moved. Sharp claw. Ability activated. My wolf claws glinted with cold light, aiming directly at the tiger's vital point. While the Siberian tiger was still stunned, my claw had already pierced through its heart. At the same time, I bared my fangs wide, clamping down on the Siberian tiger's neck, killed with a single strike. Su Xingsu's pupils suddenly dilated. All sorts of feelings welled up in her heart, leaving nothing but overwhelming shock. Dad Wolf is that badass? He took down a Siberian tiger just like that. Luo Anfei was even more impressed by that strike. After all, she was the widely recognized Valkyrie of the human race, so she knew better how much force that strike carried. Dad Wolf is way too strong, isn't he? Following the Siberian tiger's death, the many lurking elite-level demon beasts scattered in all directions. My performance terrified all the demon beasts present. I then slowly released my fangs. You have hunted a quasi-elite level demon beast, Siberian tiger. You have now reached level 17. Dropped ability, basic strength boost. At the same time, I could clearly feel my body had been strengthened. Following a wolf howl from me, all the other snow wolf demon beasts gathered around. It didn't take long for them to devour the Siberian tiger's corpse completely. Evolution among demon beasts relies entirely on devouring one another. The stronger the snow wolf pack is, the more my own combat power increases. The commotion in the Tianshan forest gradually died down. I guarded the front of the treehouse, and soon fell into a deep sleep. Inside the treehouse, however, Su Xingsui and Lu Anfei couldn't fall asleep at all. Dad Wolf's intelligence and combat power are way beyond our imagination. Why didn't I have any memory of him in my past life? What exactly happened back then? Lu Anfei sucked on her index finger. a look of doubt and shock flashing in her eyes. With the intelligence and potential Dad Wolf has shown so far, he could easily become a demon king, even an overlord. Maybe it's because I awakened when I was 10 in my past life. Dad Wolf didn't survive until the 10th year after spiritual energy resurgence. He was killed before that. At this thought, Su Shui and Luo Anfei's expressions changed. Since we were adopted by Dad Wolf in this life, we definitely can't let anything happen to him. The two of them reached a silent agreement at this moment. Once I awaken my powers, I'll be the one to protect you, Dad Wolf. I woke up the next day. I glanced around the Snow Wolf Pack's territory. There's another thing I need to take care of now. The elite-level demon beasts that awakened in the forest last night definitely weren't limited to just that Siberian tiger. Relying on the treehouse alone won't be enough to fully keep the two little ones safe. We need to build defensive fortifications right now. After I let out a long howl, the entire Snow Wolf Pack sprung into action, under my orders. Each wolf had its own task. Numerous large trees were cut down, then cut into all kinds of logs. Su Shui and Luo Anfei, who had been woken up by the noise, watched the Snow Wolf Pack felling trees, the entire scene unfolding before their eyes. What is Dad Wolf up to now? After being tempered by spiritual energy, the two little ones could already crawl. The two of them finally looked out from the treehouse door and saw Dad Wolf swinging his claws at work. Luo Anfei was slightly stunned. Is Dad Wolf doing carpentry again? The treehouse is pretty good already, isn't it? Su Shui was speechless for a moment. No matter what Dad Wolf wants to do, this is obviously no ordinary thing. In the blink of an eye, dozens of meters outside the treehouse door, several logs had already been driven into the ground by Dad Wolf, followed by a whole row of log stakes lined up horizontally. It looked like a wooden city wall. Su Shui and Luo Anfei's worldviews were completely shattered. Don't tell me Dad Wolf wants to build a wolf castle. An indescribable shock crept up their spines, shooting straight to the top of their heads. What on earth is going on in Dad Wolf's head? Just then, I seemed to hear their stomachs growling with hunger. I immediately ordered 2 female wolves to go into the treehouse to nurse the 2 little ones. Meanwhile, I was calculating the structure of this defensive line. I have to admit, after the spiritual energy tide arrived, I only leveled up twice on the surface. But in reality, all the abilities I mastered had been strengthened. My wolf claws had gotten even sharper, making carpentry work extremely easy for me. Just like that, under the 2 little ones' watchful eyes, I turned into the Snow Wolf Pack's very own version of Lu Ban, the legendary master carpenter. Half a day later, around the Snow Wolf Pack settlement, a wooden city wall with a circumference of 800 meters had been built. I stopped working temporarily at noon and carried the 2 little ones out to sunbathe. Su Shui and Luo Anfei at this moment were completely stunned by the scene before their eyes. From this morning till now, it's only been a few hours. Did Dad Wolf just build an entire Snow Wolf village? Luo Anfei had sharp eyes and spotted the wooden ladder propped against the corner of the wall. Several wolves were climbing up the ladder onto the city wall. They actually looked a little funny. Su Gingxi saw the snow wolves patrolling on the wall. Am I seeing this right? Dad Wolf didn't just build a wall. He even left space on top for walking. It's not a wolf castle, but it's even better than one. It was obvious all of this was for the 2 of them. Su Shui and Luo Anfei were immediately moved to tears. Just then, the 2 of them saw around the corner not far away. Several more snow wolves were working. The leading wolf was a quasi-elite level wolf beast. It was swinging its sharp claws and sharpened a log in no time. Then several wolves exerted force at the same time, biting a rope twisted from vines and tree bark. Next to them was a tripod made of spliced logs. At the top of the tripod, the long vine rope was threaded through a very simple pulley structure. Just like that, 4 snow wolves bit the vine and walked forward slowly, lifting the sharpened log into the air. Luo Anfei couldn't hold back her shock anymore. She could accept him building a treehouse and a city wall, but what Dad Wolf was showing now completely exceeded the intelligence a beast should have. Right after that, a log was driven into the ground, becoming part of the city wall. Su Shui couldn't figure it out no matter how hard she thought. But gradually, she seemed to realize something. I get it. It's because of last night's spiritual energy tide. Dad Wolf was already very smart before spiritual energy resurgence. After being baptized by spiritual energy, his evolution path must be focused mainly on intelligence. Su Shui's words made Luo Anfei fall into deep thought. If that's the case, Dad Wolf is going to become the Archimedes of the Snow Wolf Pack soon. Time passed and it was evening. With the combined efforts of all the Snow Wolves and Dad Wolf, Snow Wolf Village has taken its initial shape. Not just the city walls built to defend against demonic beasts. The other snow wolves in the village followed suit. They used animal hides, branches, and leaves to build many extremely primitive rooms. Outside the tree, Su Qing and Luo Anfei fell silent at the same time. Wolf Dad is literally defying the natural order. At the same time, the same question popped up in both their minds. If Wolf Dad has such high intelligence, why was he completely unknown in our past lives? What on earth happened? With Wolf Dad's natural talent, he should have at least evolved to the Lord rank at minimum. Su Jingxiu fell into deep thought. A few days later, the second wave of spiritual energy tide arrived. In the treehouse, Su Qingsui, who had just finished feeding, gradually had a look of anticipation in her eyes. Although back in her past life when spiritual energy first revived, she was also a baby the same size as she is now, but she learned from various historical records that the day the third spiritual energy tide arrives is when spiritual energy will fully recover across the world. Now that the second spiritual energy tide has already arrived, there are only a few days left before spiritual energy fully recovers. In this lifetime, she is destined to rewrite history. Just as Su Qingsui was lost in thought, she seemed to suddenly realize something. She instantly widened her eyes and looked at Luo Anfei next to her. You actually awakened ahead of time. Inside the treehouse, from Luo Anfei's baby body, a faint, soft purple aura was emanating. Luo Anfei opened her eyes, a crafty glint shining in them. Didn't expect this, Empress Su. Over these past few days, I have already perfected the purple jade breathing technique. I can start cultivating even in this baby body. Although I paid a small price for it, a head start at the beginning means a lead every step of the way in this life. I will definitely trample you under my feet this time. Right after that, she felt a huge amount of information flooding into her mind frantically. Talent awakening. The moment this thought crossed her mind, Luo Anfei's eyes were filled with excitement. She was all too familiar with this feeling. She immediately ignored Su Qingshui's gaze and sank her consciousness into her sea of consciousness, the legendary grade talent Stone Flow Scroll. The familiar aura of the law of time lingered around her. Luo Anfei frowned slightly. A look of realization dawned on Su Qingshui's face, even though she awakened her talent ahead of time. Did Luo Anfei end up awakening? That terrifying time-type talent again. First off, her spiritual energy absorption speed, with the boost from her time talent, is 3 times that of all other awakened people of the same level. Besides, once the pomegranate cocoon is activated, it will also grant Luo Anfei the ability to control the entire battlefield. It can not only freeze time around her, but even control the flow of time in a designated area. It is no exaggeration to say that this talent is unbelievably overpowered. Who would have thought this person actually awakened her spiritual talent before me? Su Jingxiu felt a twinge of frustration immediately, but soon enough, Luo Anfei opened her eyes. Her face looked extremely grim. The time aura around her suddenly vanished completely. What's going on? Seeing the curious look Su Qingshui was giving her, Luo Anfei spoke in an annoyed tone. Spiritual energy hasn't fully awakened yet. The pomegranate cocoon talent I awakened actually won't work. Su Qingshui realized what was going on instantly. The pomegranate cocoon and her own ethereal despair are both legendary grade talents. It's just that what she controls is a space-type talent. Awakening a legendary grade talent is indeed a good thing. But the catch is, both she and Luo Anfei are just babies right now. What's more, spiritual energy hasn't officially revived yet. Leaving aside whether their bodies can withstand activating the talent, there simply isn't enough spiritual energy for the two of them to use their talent abilities. Just as expected. Luo Anfei, who had forcefully modified the purple jade breathing technique to awaken her talent ahead of time, soon suffered a backlash. She only tried to activate the Stone Flow Well talent once, and she was already almost completely drained. Luckily, her past life experience came in handy at this moment. Luo Anfei quickly fell into a deep sleep. To recover her energy and spirit, Su Qingshui at this moment couldn't help but look outside the treehouse. Before she knew it, she had already spent almost half a month with Wolf Dad. She had long regarded Wolf Dad as a real family member. Don't worry, Wolf Dad. Once my ethereal despair talent awakens, I will never let you die in this lifetime. Just as she was having these thoughts, spiritual energy fluctuations suddenly came from outside the treehouse. They were coming from the group of snow wolves. Su Qingshui suddenly thought of a possibility. No way, this spiritual aura seems to be at the elite rank demonic beast level, only slightly weaker than Wolf Dad's. Could it be? Just as Su Shui was in shock, waves of wolf howls sounded outside the treehouse. There were even high-pitched howls from wolf cubs. The howls got closer and closer, until 6 wolf cubs appeared at the entrance of the treehouse. All of them had completed their evolution. Semi-elite rank demonic beasts. Su Shui couldn't help muttering to herself, "What on earth is going on here?" Luo Anfei also forcefully woke up from her deep sleep. The first thing she saw when she opened her eyes were the 6 snow wolves. Demonic beasts? Luo Anfei was completely dumbfounded. But it's only been half a month. After going through 2 spiritual energy tides, these little wolves actually evolved to semi-elite rank demonic beasts. If I remember correctly, when the last spiritual energy tide arrived, they were only at the spiritual energy rank. Could it be that these 6 snow wolves also have extraordinary talents? From Su Qingzue's expression, she got her answer. She was originally extremely excited about awakening her talent ahead of time. But after seeing these 6 snow wolves with inexplicably great talents in front of her, she suddenly came to a harsh realization. I am the Demon Lord. Reborn for real, and I do have terrifying talents, yes. But up until now, these 6 snow wolves that she would have dismissed without a second glance in her past life are already an insurmountable mountain standing in her way. Luo Anfei couldn't help but sigh. Standing on top of the city wall at this moment, my mood is as clear as this blue sky, extremely bright and happy. The Snow Wolf Pack has completed their collective evolution. The pack resonance has been strengthened. Current bond effect. All attributes of the Snow Wolf Pack increased by 20%. All snow wolves have reached the semi-elite rank level. I don't know how much the demonic beasts in this forest have evolved after the second spiritual energy tide, but I know in my heart that my Snow Wolf Pack may not be invincible in the Tianshan forest, but it is definitely a top-tier demonic beast force. What's more, we now have the city wall for defense. It seems like it's time to start expanding the pack's territory. I looked at the group of snow wolf demonic beasts. After letting out a wolf howl, I decided to let that elite rank snow wolf take my place. To lead the team out hunting, right at this moment, that snow wolf suddenly lowered its head extremely respectfully. As you command, my king, a look of surprise immediately appeared in my beast eyes. This snow wolf demonic beast has actually developed spiritual intelligence too. Although he looks a little dumb, compared to the other wolves, this snow wolf is obviously much smarter. My gaze swept over him, and I suddenly noticed, on his forehead, there was a wound left by the black wolf demonic beast from before. Although the injury has healed, it still left a dark red scar. From now on, your name is Blade Fang. Lead them out to hunt. I communicated with him in wolf language. The next second, Blade Fang immediately bowed down reverently. As you command, my king. Very soon, Blade Fang took 3 adult snow wolves and 6 newly adult wolf cubs out of Snow Wolf Village. This scene was seen by Su Shui and Luo Anfei, who instantly became curious. What is happening outside? I also did not forget to carry the 2 little ones out of the tree with my mouth. As usual, it's time to sunbathe now. With the help of the perfected purple jade breathing technique, Luo Anfei's aura was hidden. I did not detect any changes in the 2 little ones' auras. But after Su Shui and Luo Anfei came outside the treehouse, they could feel the evolution that had happened to the Snow Wolf clan. Excluding the 10 snow wolves that went out hunting, the auras of the remaining snow wolves are intertwined with each other. They are faintly resonating with Wolf Dad. Their auras are in perfect sync. Clan resonance. Though demon kings who could comprehend this kind of talent were everywhere in Su Shui's era, but we are only at the second spiritual energy tide right now. Luckily, Wolf Dad has already shocked them so many times that a shock of this level is totally acceptable now. They even have a faint illusion. It's as if for Wolf Dad as the Snow Wolf King, if he hadn't awakened the clan resonance talent, that would be the weird thing. But what happened next made the 2 little ones' eyes widen in shock. At Wolf Dad's command, the snow wolves actually split into 2 teams. One team of wolves walked up onto the city wall, as if on patrol. The other team of wolves plunged into the forest. They were presumably going hunting. Division of labor is nothing special for wolves. The real question is, how did the snow wolves even understand what patrol means? Su Shui and Luo Anfei swallowed hard. Soon, the female wolf team that had plunged into the forest returned to the Snow Wolf Village. It looked like they hadn't gone hunting at all, but only when they came closer did the 2 of them gape in shock at the same time. In the mouths of these female wolves were all holding some kind of plant rhizomes and vines. The vines not only had fruits growing on them, but also contained quite strong spiritual energy. Spiritual fruits? Su Qingshui was totally stunned. These wolves actually went to pick spiritual fruits, and Wolf Dad didn't even take action himself. Among these spiritual fruits, some are not yet ripe. Some only contain weak spiritual energy. But at their current stage, every single one is a priceless treasure. A bright red spiritual fruit. The spirit awakening treasure called the spirit origin fruit. For ordinary humans or demon beasts, eating just one gives them a chance to awaken their talent. If you eat 3, you are guaranteed to awaken your talent. Such an incredible effect. Almost made Luanfei drool with envy. If she had this fruit, why would she have gone through all the trouble to improve the purple jade breathing technique? To help herself awaken early, with her natural talent, she only needs 1 spirit origin fruit to complete her early awakening directly. And in Su Tingsui's eyes, a strange light suddenly flashed. If she could take this opportunity to awaken her talent early with the spirit origin fruit. Baba, want! Su Qingsui waved her little hand hard. The babbling sound immediately caught my attention. Is she calling me Dad? Hearing the little one's slurred babbling, my eyes lit up instantly. From now on, you two are my daughters. Hearing Su Qingshui's childish babbling, the most shocked person was Luanfei. You actually called Wolf Dad. Dad, you have to know, even though she also sees me as Wolf Dad in her heart. Her soul is that of the Demon Lord. Luanfei was already 20 when she died in her past life. If we count by soul age, she's even older than Wolf Dad. Calling him Wolf Dad in her head is fine, but actually saying it out loud, with her proud and unruly personality, how could she possibly do that? But Su Qingshui had long gotten used to Wolf Dad's care. Calling Baba just came naturally to her. As for being embarrassed, she's just a baby right now anyway. Even though her cheeks were a little hot, when she thought of how important the spirit origin fruit was to her, Su Qingshui resolutely decided to act cute. This almost made my heart melt from cuteness. I let out a low howl, and the female wolf carried the spirit origin fruit over to the little one in her mouth. Then I saw that little blonde kid stretch out her chubby little baby hand, grab a bright red fruit, and ate it right away. I was really scared. Even though I had no experience raising kids in my past life, I had heard plenty of news about kids choking on food. I panicked immediately. But the little one was not only fine, a clear spiritual energy fluctuation also appeared on her body. It suddenly dawned on me, oh right, it seems that humans in this world can absorb spiritual energy starting from infancy. After all, I've never met any other humans. I attributed the 2 little ones' unusual behavior to the special physique of humans in this world, back in the swaddle, after Su Qingshui acted all sweet. To get the spirit origin fruit, Luanfei was also dumbfounded. On one side was her pride as the Demon Lord. On the other was an extremely beneficial opportunity.
I, Luanfei the Demon Lord, would never bow down for a mere spiritual fruit,
she said as she closed her eyes, choosing to ignore it so she wouldn't be tempted. But I used my sharp wolf claw to pick up a spirit origin fruit and carefully handed it to Luanfei. Since the little blonde kid can eat it, the little purple-haired kid should be fine too, right? Luanfei, who had smelled the scent of the spirit origin fruit, just opened her eyes when she saw the spirit origin fruit right in front of her face. You're testing me, the Demon Lord Luanfei, with this. Luanfei immediately started babbling like a baby too. Baba, Baba! Anyway, Su Qingshui already put her pride aside. Why can't I, Luanfei the Demon Lord, do the same? What's wrong with enduring a little humiliation for a greater goal? Wait, no, it's acting cute to get a spirit origin fruit. Thinking of this, Luanfei started acting coquettish directly, pressing her whole body against my wolf paw. My heart suddenly started beating wildly. A strange feeling I had never felt before erupted in my chest. Do I have 2 daughters now? I was in total shock. When we first met, I mostly felt pity for them, but now I feel a sense of responsibility. I thumped my chest and imprinted the 2 little ones' faces in my spiritual sea. From now on, Daddy will definitely protect you both. Su Qingshui finally couldn't hold it in anymore. You're so shameless. Acting cute and calling him Daddy is bad enough. You even acted coquettish. Luanfei kept acting cute, then responded to Su Qingshui through thought transmission. You don't understand. This is called gratitude, okay? If I don't act a little coquettish, how can I deserve the spirit origin fruit Wolf Dad gave me? Hearing that, the corner of Su Qingshui's mouth twitched involuntarily, but she eventually suppressed her restless thoughts and activated the ice crystal breathing technique from her past life, focusing all her attention on absorbing the spirit origin fruit. Lu Anfei followed her example and started refining the spirit origin fruit with the purple jade breathing technique. From my point of view, the two little ones looked like they had fallen asleep after eating their fill. After making sure the two little ones were fine, I turned my attention to the many spiritual plants. Even though there are many heavenly spiritual fruits here, they are completely useless to me. So I immediately distributed the spiritual fruits to the wolf pack. All the snow wolves immediately grew a little stronger. After storing the rest of the spiritual fruits in the ice storage, I walked back to my two daughters' side. I lay down, and in the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. Lu Anfei was the first to open her eyes. The spirit origin fruit is indeed worthy of being the top spirit awakening treasure. It not only eliminated the hidden risks of her early talent awakening, but also let Lu Anfei awaken a second talent. Su Qingsui also opened her eyes. Even though she was still a baby girl, on her slightly chubby baby face, there was already a hint of the Empress Majesty she had in the past. Her lips didn't move, but a cold voice sounded in Lu Anfei's mind. As expected, you also awakened a second talent. Lu Anfei nodded slightly. Even though they weren't talking in baby babble right now, they could both hear each other's voices, because the two of them awakened their talents at the same time. Temporal spatial synchronization. Only time and space type awakened users can master this. Its effect is to use the power of time and space to communicate with others through mental voice. Su Qingshu's voice wasn't loud, but Lu Anfei understood one thing clearly. Looks like you also awakened your past life's talent. Void desperation. Lu Anfei's slightly arrogant voice also echoed in Su Qingshu's mind. The two girls both showed relieved expressions soon after. With the help of spatial power, the total amount of Su Qingshui's spiritual power is almost 3 times that of other awakened users at the same level. On top of that, she can unleash the sharpest spatial slash in the world. We can also make use of layers of overlapping space to form the sturdiest shield in the world, the space barrier. That's not all! Since it is a self-contained space, Lu Anfei's power of worldly rules has no effect on Su Qingshui at all. Fortunately, protected by the time rule, Su Qingshu's spatial power also cannot take effect on Lu Anfei. In their past lives, the two were teammates, as well as rivals who held deep respect for each other. Lu Anfei, I, the Empress, will definitely make you understand how powerful the void despair is in this life. Su Qingshui, I will also let you know that the pomegranate cocoon is truly invincible. The two girls made up their minds secretly at the same time. Since their bodies are only infant bodies now, activating their innate space-time synchronization skill makes their meager internal spiritual power consume extremely fast. In an instant, both of them fell into a state of weakness at the same time. They looked at me in unison. Baba, we're hungry. Hearing my two daughters calling me, I snapped my eyes open. The gurgling sound of their stomachs rang in my ears. Wait, didn't these two little ones just drink milk? Hold on. What did these two brats just call me? I was stunned for a second. Just then, both of them used their space-time synchronization innate skill to speak directly in my mind. Baba, we want milk. This is telepathy. I wasn't shocked at all, just pleasantly surprised. I never expected that after eating a fruit, these two little ones could already talk. It's a pity that even though I can understand them, I can't communicate with them back. Still, I immediately called 2 female wolves over. The 6 wolf cubs have grown up now. They don't need milk anymore. So there's no need to worry about the milk supply. Watching my 2 daughters lying on the female wolves drinking milk, my mood instantly got a lot better. Soon the snow wolf hunting squad returned. Several wolves among them were carrying prey, each holding a deer corpse in their mouths. 3 snow wolves were herding more than a dozen female deer and fawns. I let out a long howl right away. All of them came up to me and bowed their bodies respectfully. Wolf King, these are the prey we hunted. I nodded casually. Then I walked up to the deer corpse. Wow, even though it's already dead, I can still feel the immense spiritual power contained in its corpse. Apparently, this deer gained quite a lot of benefits. During the 2 spiritual energy tides, the spiritual power stored in its body is unbelievably abundant. I immediately exercised the rights and duties of the Wolf King, bit off a piece of lean meat from the deer's back, and swallowed it whole. The fresh meat on the elk's back is extremely delicious, and also contains a lot of spiritual power. After a few bites, I was already somewhat full. Host has devoured the Elk King's flesh. Current level has been upgraded to level 18. A smile suddenly appeared on my ferocious wolf snout. Then I stepped aside to let the rest of the snow wolves start eating. As for me, I herded those female elks and fawns. into the fence at the corner of the Snow Wolf village. Right now, Su Sui and Luo Anfei looked at the elk corpse on the ground, their mouths hanging open in shock at the same time. The Elk King. You can tell just from the aura coming off the corpse. This elk has not only evolved into an elite-tier demon beast, but its level is no lower than level 15. If Dad Wolf hunted this Elk King himself, that would make sense. But this Elk King was actually brought back by the hunting squad. Su Sui and Luo Anfei were shocked once again. Even without Dad Wolf, this Snow Wolf pack is already extremely terrifying. But what shocked them even more was still to come. Dad Wolf just arranged their future wet nurses, then walked up to the head of the deer corpse. Both Luo Anfei and Su Sui knew. The Elk King's antlers are great demon beast materials. Judging from Dad Wolf's personality, sure enough, I swung my paw down and chopped off both pairs of antlers, then handed them to Renya, who carried them back to the ice store and put them together with the herbs we found earlier. The next second, my sharp, blade-like claw sliced open the Elk King's head directly. A blood-stained, diamond-shaped demon core floated out of the Elk King's brain, glowing with a strange brown luster. A demon core. Holy crap, what kind of luck does Dad Wolf have? The two little one's eyes were filled with shock. The probability of an elite-tier demon beast forming a demon core may not have actual measured data, but it's definitely no higher than 1%. The Empress couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Who would have thought Dad Wolf is such a lucky guy? The two little ones froze on the spot, then looked at the demon core, both wearing longing expressions on their faces. If only they could absorb that demon core. After hesitating for a moment, the two still gave up on the idea. They wanted it badly, but were not capable enough. The spiritual power contained in a demon core is way more violent than that in spiritual fruits of heaven and earth. If you aren't careful, you might get your body blown apart by it. I was also looking at the demon core. Consuming it gives you a chance to awaken one of the following traits: minor strength boost, minor speed boost, minor jump boost. After reading the effects of this demon core, I frowned. The boost this Elk King core gives me is very limited. I suddenly thought of something. A low wolf howl sounded. Renya immediately ran over to me at full speed. I looked at Renya and had an idea in my mind. The loyalty of this Snow Wolf pack goes without saying. I might as well reward this core to Renya. When Renya's strength improves, he can better complete hunting tasks in my place. I have the Trait Plunder innate skill, so I never lack traits. Of course, the stronger the Snow Wolf pack is, the more boosts I can get myself. For all these reasons, I threw the Elk King core in front of Renya. Renya's face twitched slightly all of a sudden. As a demon beast, his instinct made him well aware how important that core was to him, but his loyalty prevented him from betraying his king, even for an opportunity like a demon core. But now his king had actually bestowed it upon him. It wasn't just Renya. All the wolves in the Snow Wolf pack were shocked. Then this shock instantly turned into frenzy. The Snow Wolves were expressing their highest respect and loyalty to their king. Renya swallowed the core immediately. In an instant, around his wolf body, waves of spiritual aura fluctuations appeared. Su Sui and Luo Anfei widened their eyes at the same time. Dad Wolf actually rewarded the core to another Snow Wolf. There was nothing but confusion in Su Sui's eyes. Luo Anfei's eyes were even wider. Dad Wolf, aren't you pretty smart? How could you give such a great opportunity to another Snow Wolf? Dad Wolf is so domineering and generous. What's done is done. There's no taking it back. Luo Anfei looked at Renya and couldn't help sighing. Su Sui also spoke with a sigh. Who would have thought that the smart Dad Wolf would also? When she looked at Dad Wolf, in his two-colored amber-like eyes, there was only calm from start to finish. Could Dad Wolf have done this on purpose? Right now, Renya's transformation was complete. His body size didn't change, but his muscles all over his body got much thicker. It looks like he awakened a strength-boosting type innate skill. Luo Anfei mumbled to himself. Su Sui had already lost her composure. She plopped her little butt down, right in the swaddle. Could Dad Wolf have already known that the demon core can help boost strength? He doesn't need it. That's why he gave it to the scarred Snow Wolf. Su Sui's words immediately stunned Luo Anfei. No way! The spiritual aura in a demon core is chaotic and unregulated. There's no pattern to it at all. Not to mention Dad Wolf at his current stage. Even I, at my peak, couldn't tell the specific effects of a demon core. But Dad Wolf actually can do that. The two little ones turned their gazes to me. Dad Wolf, how many secrets are you still hiding? I have to admit, Baki's luck is surprisingly good, and he actually awakened his innate strength-boosting talent. Just as I was still sighing with amazement, a sudden roar came from outside Snow Wolf Village. No, that's a wolf howl. I lifted my wolf paw and leaped abruptly onto the top of the city wall. Outside Snow Wolf Village, a pack of wolves with mixed black, white, and gray fur actually appeared.